This thing has options for that. This cat's about to knock this right. There it went. It's on the floor now, cat. Okay, so at the end of the last tutorial, we had this. And if you need to pick up right where we're at right now, you can just go out to GitHub and pull down episode 3 and episode 2 and get started with us right here. We got a ball. It bounces between two walls. We're gonna add the paddles in, and we're gonna have pretty much a game. All right, we're gonna have to make a test script, test scripts, test unit, test paddle, in order to make our first paddle. And then we're going to open it up in Gut or in Godot, whatever. You get it. You guys know this part. Let's go ahead and we'll just kind of fast forward through this real quick. I'll get the first test. It'll fail. It won't work. And then we'll move on. Exist. Scripts. Paddle.jd. Run the tests. There we go. Okay, one thing you'll notice is that when I ran that, only this script ran. And that is because I went over here and I set this to only select the test paddle script. So now when I run my tests, I'm only running the paddle, and that's because I don't feel like running all the other tests right now. So, all right. So, paddle needs to bounce. Paddle needs to bounce. It's going to bounce the ball in the X direction the opposite way. So that means we're going to need a ball. Scripts ball. All right. And we're going to go ahead and test this with a mocked out ball the same way we did the wall. So let's go ahead and test. Ball, set direction. And here we go. Make it an array. We learned that in the last episode. Vector 2, -1, 1. Nope. There we go. Alright, now when we run our tests, bounce doesn't exist. We knew that. Function bounce, ball, pass. Run the tests. And, yeah, didn't happen. We need it. There we go. Let's just say, ball. That's that direction. Vector 2, 1, -1, 1. Run the test. There we go, pass. Alright. Let's make another test. I need a keyboard shortcut to make that go away. Swap this out. Run it. It fails. We knew it. Get direction. Times vector 2, -1, 1. Run them again. Oops. Ball. And the past. All right. All right. So we got a ball. It bounces off of the paddle. Now we got to figure out what to do with the Y direction. Since I'm basing this off of the Godot thing, what they did is they just made it just made the ball bounce in a random Y direction whenever it bounces off of the paddle. So we might as well just do the same thing, but we got to figure out how that's gonna work. I'm not 100% sure. Let's bounce changes Y randomly. And what we're probably gonna want to do, what do we want to do? What I want to do is I'm going to bounce the ball a bunch of times, and then we're going to collect all of the values for Y, and then we're going to make some assertions that those values are within certain limits. So we got it set up. We are going to bounce the ball 1,000 times and see what happens. So let's just do for in range 1,000 paddle bounce ball. And what this is going to get us is we will have called set direction via bounce 1,000 times, and then we can use the get call parameters function to verify the values that we've sent in there. So the first thing we want to verify is that the value is not the same between any two calls. So let's go ahead and make last Y equal to get call parameters. And we're going to say ball, and we're going to say set direction. And we're going to want to get the first instance of this. And we know that this will return us an array of the parameters that come back that were sent to set direction. So we know that set direction only takes one parameter, so we want the first element in that array. And since we know that what's coming back is a vector 2, we want the Y. So this should get us the first Y value that was passed into set direction when we called bounce on the ball. And now, what do we want to do? Oh, we want to now loop through the rest of the things. And we're going to say in range 1 to 1,000, and we're going to make a var current Y equals 0, and we're going to say current Y equals the same thing, except instead of getting the first call, we want to get the nth, whatever. And then we're going to need one more number. We're going to say num equals 0. Okay. Now we're going to say if current Y equals last Y, num equal plus equals 1. Then the very important last Y equals current Y. And then we come down here and we are going to assert equals num equal 0. So we'll bounce the ball 1,000 times. Then we're going to run through all 1,000 of those calls back to the ball for set direction. And we're going to verify that no two values in a row are the same. So let's run this. And it fails, of course, because we're not doing anything with the Y. So now we got to figure out what to do with the Y. So we'll go back to the paddle. And we are going to save our new Y equals a random range -1 to 1. And then let's just do this. Let's say var new dir equals this, and we'll say new dir dot y equals new y. And we'll do this. This is real messy, but we'll fix it here in a minute once everything's green. Okay. Oh, we failed these because we were making assertions based off these numbers. So now we got to fix those tests. But we are doing this correctly. Let's do this again. Oops, wrong one. Test paddle. Yeah. Ooh, look at all that. We have an unstubbed call to set all 1,000 of them. All right, well, we need to fix that. So let's fix that real quick. Let's go back over to test paddle, and right here, we are going to use stub ball set direction, and we're going to use a new stubbing thing that's new in 6.8 to do nothing. All right, so let's run this again. Crank her up. Go back over to the wall, the paddle, run it again. And yeah, we got rid of all those. So let's go fix the paddle now. Let's fix these tests. So we're going to have to do the same get call parameters trick over here. Because we only want to look at the X now, and we can't just use assert called anymore. So let's just say var new X equals dot X. We're getting the first call. Actually, we're getting the only call, so we can leave that parameter off. By default, it always returns the latest call. So down here, it would return you the 1,000th if you didn't give it this third parameter. So we want that X, and then we are just going to assert equal new X -1, and that should do it. What's your problem? New X. Alright, let's run this. Okay, that guy passes. We've got a float to int comparison, just a little heads up, so let's make that a float. Gets rid of that warning. Alright, we can do the same thing down here now. We've got a couple things we want to make sure happen, more that happens with this, but first, let's go ahead and fix this paddle. I don't like any of this. This is all real gross. So let's just say that's better. Well, almost better. Now it's better. Run the tests. Everything passes. Great. Okay, so if we think about this a little bit, we know that we don't want the y to be between -1 and 1, because that means the ball could possibly start going straight up or straight down. So we're gonna need to keep this within a range of values, and for that we're gonna have to keep track of the min y, which we need to make an exceptionally large number so that the first time we do it, we're good. 3's fine, and we're going to do max y, and we're going to make that -3. Y3, cut. So then we're going to come down here, and we're going to do a max y equals okay, cool. Now we got that. What do you mean min x is not declared? Oops, min y. Duh. Min y. Min y. Alright, now we need to make a couple more assertions. We're gonna look at the minimum y. So min, we're gonna say less than. We're gonna say min y We want min y to always to be less than 0. And we want it greater than -1. So if we run this should pass because we're picking values in there. Yeah, this passes just fine. We got more float and int comparisons. Alright, so this gets us the range that we're currently working in. And that's good. But we need to knock it down a little bit. So we're gonna knock it down. 1 is -1's too much, so let's go ahead. Let's narrow this down to we're gonna shoot for -0.5 and 0.5. So let's make this less than -0.3 and greater than -0.5. So now if we run it, somehow that passes too. Oh, 0.5. There we go. Yeah, that's what we expected. All right. Let's make this, let's do the same with him. We're going to expect you to be greater than 0.3. You know what we can also do? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do an assert between min y, -0.3 and -0.5. That's what we should do. Let's run that. Yeah, invalid range. Okay. There we go. Yep. That works. That's way cleaner. Okay. Almost 1. So let's go back into the panel. Let's make this -0.5 and 0.5. And now we're good. Okay. Perfect. So now we've got a ball that will bounce off of a paddle. It'll go in a random Y direction. Now we need to make a paddle. Let's go make the paddle scene. Alright, so to make a new scene, we're going to go scene, new scene. And then, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go back over here. We're going to go find that wall. We're going to steal the draw. Let's run the paddle. Where's the paddle? Oh, paddle doesn't have a script. Run the paddle. There it is. All right. So what we should be, let's go over to the game. We got a paddle now. Let's go ahead and add a paddle. We will call you, let's call you P1 paddle. Duplicate you. Change this to P2. Save that. Alright, so let's save this and run this. Bouncing up and down. Okay, let's get into the game. And let's do that. Uh-oh. Haha, that's right. Of course, we're not doing any collisions. So, let's run the game. Boom. Ah. All kinds of weird angles. We've got it. Next step is to make the ball, make the paddles move.